I want you to understand what is rational behavior. Okay, rational behavior. So, what do you think a rational behavior is?
Rational behavior. Yes.
Yeah. What is a rational behavior? It's a normal English word. What do you mean by rational behavior?
It is behavior that is expected. What anyone would do. What the average choices
Okay,
that
so
we,
rational means something which a consumer makes a decision which is best is in his or her interest.
yes.
Okay. Now, in this chapter, Aditya, we are going to be covering why. So, first of all, why is this chapter in our course? Because we have to see that are customers rational? If they are rational, why do they behave like rational? Or if they are not rational, why is it that they don't behave rational? What what restricts them to behave rationally? You understand what I mean? Are
Could
you with
you?
me?
Yes, I am. But could you repeat what you said?
I'm saying every customer behaves
Yes.
rationally. Okay.
Yes. To
Every
make
customer,
for their own interest.
yeah, in their own interest. There has to be some reason why they are behaving like this. Okay. And
Yes.
therefore we need to identify the reasons what makes them rational in their own world. Okay. And if they are not rational, what is restricting them to behave rationally? So the first thing which we are saying is in economics is a study of human science. We are trying to understand how humans behavior. Obviously, when consumer decides to consume something, consumer makes a decision. When consumer makes a decision, the whole idea is to maximize the benefit or the utility. Correct?
Yes.
Let's say you've bought a phone or you've bought a t-shirt. You have chosen that product because you think that this decision will give you maximum utility or benefit. Correct? You also know that within my limited resources, I could have, or within my limited budget, I could have bought this only, right?
Yeah.
Correct? Now, consumers, this concept is often criticized by critic because consumers, they are influenced by so many biases. Consumers are influenced by so many factors around them. This is what we are going to study in this chapter.
Yes.
Okay, I don't want you to memorize this, but understand any rational consumer is bound by the choices. The choices depend on the behavior of the consumer and the past experiences, right?
Yes.
So, as a rational consumer, I will choose something that will maximize my overall satisfaction, correct? And I will allocate my limited income in buying those goods and services because I can't buy everything. I will buy based on the money which I have right now.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, what influence my choices? You can see price and quantity are the two factors. Do you think are there any other factors that will influence your choice?
Okay. Price, quality. There are other factors. Factors like income. If
Oh,
how much income you have, that'll affect um,
okay.
consumer choice. Substitutes. If there are substitutes,
Great.
then that may
Great.
also.
And
Okay. So price, quality, substitutes, income,
what about advertisement?
marketing. Yeah, advertisements. If there's a lot of advertisements for a product, then consumers may be led to purchase a good.
Absolutely. So you
Necessity as well. If there is a need for a product, then
absolutely. So There might be, so even advertisement influence you. Friends influence you, people around you. Correct? So these are certain factors that might influence your choice.
Yes.
Now, people who study economics, they are saying that is it really that customer is maximizing his or her benefit out of it? Maybe not, because of the following reasons. Critic says that customer may not take always rational decision because customer is bounded by rationality.
Yes.
Consumers do not always have perfect information.
They don't have like unlimited cognitive abilities all the time.
Yeah. So, for example, I am surrounded by a lot of, I rely on heuristics. Heuristics का मतलब समझते हो आप क्या होता है?
Yes.
Depend, I rely on opinions. I rely on rule of thumb. Rule of thumb क्या होता है? So, for example, let's say, for example, whenever you, let's say you are an athlete, whenever you are running, you've been told कि always buy Nike shoes or always buy Skechers. Okay?
Yes.
Or maybe the rule of thumb in some family could be the rule of thumb is always buy something in sales or always buy a particular kind of shoe. They are the best. So we've been bounded by so many biases around us. It could be perfect because we don't have perfect information. We have unlimited cognitive abilities. You
Yes.
understand unlimited cognitive abilities.
Yes. You can always think ahead to what your how your life will be changed, how your income will be changed, how you might
Yeah.
not be able to afford something else if
मतलब
you buy
कॉग्निटिव
this.
का मतलब कॉग्निटिव का मतलब होता है सीखना. मेरे
Yeah.
पास अनलिमिटेड तरीके हैं कोई भी चीज सीखने के.
Yeah.
एंड व्हाट्स हैपनिंग इज ये सारी की सारी चीजें व्हेन आई एम बाइंग इट इम्पैक्ट्स माय डिसीजन.
Your yes,
या
your decision.
सो एक चीज कंफर्म हो गई है. आदित्य एग्जामिनर को ये बता रहा है दैट कंज्यूमर्स आर बाउंडेड बाय देयर रैशनैलिटी बिकॉज ऑफ heuristics, rule of thumb, so many, and because of the unlimited cognitive abilities around them. And also, customers do not have perfect information. So let me give
Yes.
you an example. Let's say if you bought your phone, let's say you may have bought your phone from a local shop where your dad may have taken you, or you have gone on your own, and you you may have done your research maybe by checking prices at 4 or 5 shops. But did you check every shop? Did you go to online? There is a possibility that you could have got the same phone slightly cheaper.
Yeah.
So critic says that customers do not have the behavior which consumers exhibit. It's not always maximizing their benefit. Secondly, most customers have irrational behavior. They keep buying things which they don't sometimes need. It's not that they make rash. Do they always operate as a rational choice model? No.
Mm.
Let's say I don't want something, but I'm forced to buy something. Let's say you don't want something, but you've been gifted something out of emotion, right? So let's say maybe you don't want something, but you're out on shopping with your mom and your dad, and they may force you to nahi, nahi, ye le, buy this. This looks good on you. So there are so many biases, emotions, and preferences that impacts your behavior, and therefore it suddenly the rational behavior becomes an irrational behavior. Irrational as in not maximizing your utility.
Yes.
So when I say not maximizing your utility, I am saying the utility that you could have got from that product, maybe it's not maximum. You may not even sometimes wear the same t-shirt sometime, which is gift it to you because maybe you don't like it for some reason or whatever. Not every product you use in a rational way, right?
Yes.
Including me. Plus, are we surrounded by cultural and social factors?
Yes. Yeah.
So, for example, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Um, Cultural and social factors. Social factors is uh, depending on what clothes you wear, for example.
Yeah,
Uh, you might be you might be negatively judged or talked
yeah,
about behind your back, and that might affect your decision on what you buy and what you purchase.
correct.
And cultural factors as well. Culture is very important to some people, and depending on, say, if you buy a certain type of product that negatively impacts your culture and where you're from, then people will judge you. You will feel, say, what religious guilt or whatever that'll affect your.
Correct. It is sometimes it is even for a status symbol. People buy cars which sometimes they don't need, but they buy it because they live in a society and they just want to show that, I'm driving better car than before. I'm
Yeah.
upgrading life. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand. Some people just there might not be a need for the product, but they're
सोशल फैक्टर है वो सोसाइटी
yes,
में क्या कहेंगे
your the social outlook and how you're perceived in society is also a factor in what
yeah,
you purchase.
yeah. Are you now able to um, differentiate, like, are you able to comprehend this chapter?
Yes.
Similarly, utility maximization and preferences, we so when I'm buying something, will I get maximum utility? Maybe
Um,
not.
yeah, maybe not, depending on the product.
Yeah. So let's just talk about how this happens. So let's take an example of rational consumer choices assumes that consumers have clear preferences. Rationality क्या कहती है? Customer को तो सब कुछ पता है. Customers have clear preferences and they can actually rank the goods and services. मतलब पहले नंबर पे मेरी प्रेफरेंस ये है, दूसरे नंबर पे ये है, and customers can actually identify which product is going to give me the maximum utility. And therefore, based on this ranking system, consumers often allocate their income so that they can distribute the budget accordingly. Like this is what rational consumer choice assumes, right?
Yes.
But critics क्या कहते हैं, ऐसा रियल लाइफ में तो नहीं होता, ये बुक में ही अच्छा लग रहा है. Critics argue that assumptions of rational consumer choices do not always hold the real world. Consumers may not have complete information and they may exhibit present bias and they may make decisions which is influenced by emotions and rather than utility. So जो हमने ऊपर पढ़ा ना, ये उसका क्रक्स है. Okay?
It all depends on that.
Yeah. Let me just change the slide. Let me just hold on. Now we are looking at if at all consumers behave rationally. Is there any limitation to the rational consumer choices? Okay. सो कंज्यूमर जब रैशनली बिहेव नहीं करता है उसके पीछे रीजंस क्या हैं? ओके, बियॉन्ड द रैशनल कंज्यूमर चॉइसेस. सो वी आर गोइंग बियॉन्ड. I have made some choice, let's say, and you have made some choice. We've
Yes.
bought a product. We have bought a product. Now the point is, how do we know that have we bought? What has impacted our choices? We are going to study this. So, I want you to. I'll give you access to this course. Okay, this is prepared by another IB examiner.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I hope this is very easy notes compared to the book.
What is behavioral economics? Yes. It is easier. It condenses it and it makes it effective to.
Yeah.
But does it have
So
all the information?
yes, it has all the information as per the guide. Behavioral economics is a branch of economics that examines how psychological and emotional factors influence economic decisions. Behavior check कर रहे हैं हम. It is that branch of economics जो psychological और emotional factors को study करती है, which are actually impacting economic decisions. My behavior is actually impacted by my psychological and emotional factors.
Yes.
Okay. So this behavioral economics challenges the traditional assumptions of perfect rationality in consumer choices. पहले हमने क्या पढ़ा कि कस्टमर्स बहुत रैशनल, परफेक्टली रैशनल कंज्यूमर चॉइसेस करते हैं, बट ऐसा नहीं है. रियल लाइफ में बिहेवियरल इकोनॉमिक्स ज्यादा बड़ा ब्रॉड कॉन्सेप्ट है, because we want to understand what are the psychological and emotional factors that govern the behavior of a consumer. Why is it important? Because people do make choices when they buy something, right?
Yes.
And therefore, we are assuming that whenever there is some behavior which is exhibited by an individual or a community, we are saying that maybe there are reasons behind those behavior which is psychological and emotional factors.
Yes.
Now the point is, when we are studying those factors, obviously we are trying to understand के हमने अभी पिछला स्लाइड में देखा that consumers makes choices and they are rational, but we know that this model has a limitation. The first limitation we actually read was bounded rationality. They are bounded by cognitive ability and heuristics. Remember that?
Yes.
Customers are also bounded by selfishness, isn't it? All customers act in their own selfish manner. Don't you think?
Yes.
I am bounded by my own selfishness. I may not be rational, क्योंकि मैं वो कर रहा हूँ जो मुझे पसंद है, और हो सकता है जो मुझे पसंद हो वो रैशनल ना हो. Let's say you might feel that donating clothes could be very good decision, but maybe for someone else it could be irrational, but maybe for you it is rational, right?
Yes.
So हम कई बार डोनेट करते हैं, which is altruism approach.
Yes.
सोसाइटी में कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं. We want to empathize with people who have less, and therefore we want to give away a lot of things, and therefore we might make certain choices. Maybe sometimes you buy goods from market and donate it to the poor ones. So this might be a very rational choice for you to have donated, let's say, some food or clothes to poor people, but economics says that eventually you are bounded by your selfishness. Come on, let's accept it. Mother Teresa ने अगर लोगों की हेल्प, you understand who's Mother Teresa? Have you heard of her name?
Yes, I have. I have
Okay.
heard a lot about her actually.
Yeah. So she's a nun, and some people say that she contributed to the society. I feel that she has contributed to the society, but she wanted to do it, right? That's her choice. And that was making her happy, and therefore she did it. So she was bounded by her own selfishness. We all do things which is in our own self-interest.
Yeah.
So it may have benefited her. Am I bounded by my self-control? Yes. So for example, I am trying to lose weight and I should not be eating sugar, and therefore there is a possibility that some sweets might be good for my body, but just because I'm trying to lose weight, and I might be bounded by my own self-control, right?
Yes. Yes.
There is a possibility that I want a new car. My budget was, let's say, to buy Skoda, but I end up buying Mercedes because I'm bound. I'm in you know
Yes.
I'm in self control. I'm actually valuing my immediate reward. कि मुझे आज Mercedes चाहिए, but I'm not thinking about the future that it might be very expensive deal for me, but I'm still going ahead and buying it. So I'm bounded by my own self control,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Similarly, perfect information. We all feel that we have all the perfect information. We know the best product, we know the best price, we know the market conditions, but in reality, it's not the same. Let's say these days I want to buy a new refrigerator. I might think that I've made the best deal, but there is a possibility that I did not check other shops. Correct?
Yes.
रैशनैलिटी, अगर मैं रैशनल बिहेव कर रहा हूँ तो मैं रैशनैलिटी से बाउंडेड हूँ. अगर मैं सेल्फिश बिहेव कर रहा हूँ, अपने बारे में सोच रहा हूँ, तो भी मैं सेल्फिशनेस से बाउंडेड हूँ. करेक्ट?
हाँ.
Even if I buy something which I'm actually, maybe, it means that I have limited willpower and I'm not able to make decisions which are best for my current situation, and I'm ignoring the future benefits. I'm only looking at short-term plans rather than looking at the long-term plans. So I may not have self-control on myself. I'm bounded by it, and therefore, and the fourth could be imperfect information. You understand all these four?
Yes.
Consumer कभी भी rationality से काम नहीं करता है because of these four reasons. Is this clear?
I understand.
Rule of thumb, like I gave you the example. Rule of thumb is a heuristics where individuals rely on simple, easy to understand guidelines or rules to make decisions rather than conducting a thorough analysis. So it means if you want to buy something, you did not do a thorough analysis, you're just relying on simple, easy to understand some rule which has been told to you.
Yes.
Okay. And therefore, consumers may choose product based on the brand recognition rather than considering all available information. For example, if I want to buy a refrigerator, I might want to buy only a particular kind of refrigerator or a style or a brand. So I'm just going by the rule. For example, let's say refrigerators from Bosch are very good, or washing machines from IFB are really good, or Skechers shoes are really good. So I'm just going by that rule. I'm not doing my own analysis, thorough analysis. That is rule of thumb. Okay.
Yes.
So for example, we always try, and rule of thumb is jo rating acha hai, we will buy food from that restaurant. We'll order food from that. Correct?
Yes.
That is rule of thumb without even thinking
Yeah.
about the other factors.
Without thinking in depth or about your future
Correct.
expenses and stuff, you just like, okay,
Absolutely.
people say this is good, and so it might
Yeah.
be benefit, but it
Yeah.
will benefit like.
It could be an expensive food, or if I have to dine in, it could be very far from my house. It might take a lot of time, but this just because it's ka rating acha hai, I might want to go and eat out there.
Yes.
I'm just going by the rule of thumb. मतलब जिसका rating अच्छा है वही अच्छा. This means I'm not trying restaurants which have possibly lower ratings than the best ones. You understand rule of thumb?
Yes.
Similarly, there is something called anchoring and framing bias. What are they? Anchoring occurs when individuals use an initial piece of information as just one reference point and they make subsequent judgments. Only on small information, you are hooked to that. Anchoring is being hooked, right?
Yes.
And you are relying on that particular anchoring so that you take a decision. Okay, for example, let's say for currently I am hooked that For example, I want to buy Mercedes because it exhibits a lot of prestige. All right. It may have some features maybe I don't even know. I don't even need. Correct?
Yes.
So something about a product anchors you and you want to just, you're attached to it, like an anchor of the ship, which is controlling you. You're hooked. Second, anchoring is when people rely too heavily on just one piece of information, like we said, and it is presented when making a decision. Framing is when the same information is presented in a different way, it impacts the decision making. Okay. So, for example, if there is a discount line which is reframed as save money instead of spending less. So, it has been framed in a way, it has been written in a way. For example, if you go to certain shops, it says discount up to 80%. Up to. But when you go inside the shop, they will always tell you that the 80% ones are already sold. We are now left with 30%. Voila.
Huh.
Right.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah. I'm here. Is this clear?
Yes.
And we all know what is availability bias when people make decisions based on the information that's most easily available to them, usually from recent experience or the emotional events.
Yes.
Correct?
हाँ.
अगर recently किसी कार का accident हुआ है and we always presume that it's not a very safe car, let's say, although it might be a safe car, but I am not looking at those conditions. All I'm seeing is that just because people were killed and sitting in that car, I might think it as a very unsafe car.
Yes.
So some recent events can impact your decision making and you become biased. Either because of it could be because of the emotional events as well. So there's another example given. The availability bias is a cognitive bias where people tend to give more weight to the information that is readily available rather than researching a lot. So we are actually overestimating that limited information which we have. Correct?
हाँ.
For example, investing in a company just because it's popular on social media without actually researching on financial performance. Let's say I saw a video that invest in a particular company and your money will be doubled. So I'm biased because somebody told me and I'm not even making a full research. Avoiding air travels after the plane crash despite it as being statistically safer than driving.
Yes.
So we right now we've just understood that there is definitely problem with the rational consumer behavior, right?
Yes.
And therefore some policy has to be made so that people can be made aware of their rational choices, because people are surrounded by psychological biases. It is important for policymakers to consider those biases whenever they are trying to improve consumer welfare, right?
Yes.
For example, can we implement nudges to encourage better choices? Nudge means to encourage people.
Yes.
Nudge
But
means to tell
yeah.
people what is good for them.
Yes. That's usually what the government does. Right? They just they start like funding for campaigns to um more to better like encourage the
I would
people
I would
just like
rather I would rather say that nudge is more about uh, mm, creating a framework where people are encouraged to make better choices. For example, if you are in a mall, you want to take an elevator, but there's always a sign which says take stairs. They're encouraging you to climb stairs because it would be more healthy. So nudges, they are trying to make certain amendments around you so that you follow those amendments. Correct?
Yes. You're muted.
So one of the first way to improve behavior of consumers so that they can make really rational choices without being impacted by any biases is the choice architecture. Okay. Like we just read that behavioral economics is more about shaping consumers' behavior and making decisions in a way that customers make choices which are better for them.
Yes.
It could be so choice architecture means uh, we can make default choices for the customer. Choice architecture is an area in behavioral economics where we are sometimes also restricting consumers' choices. We might be making mandated choices, and there is something called nudge theory. So these are the four things we are going to study in the choice architecture, which is how to make default choices, restricted choices, mandate choices, and nudge theories that can impact consumer behavior. Okay.
Yes.
I want you to read this loudly for me. Choice architecture.
Choice architecture and decision making. Choice architecture refers to the design of the decision-making environment in a way that influences the choices people make. By altering the presentation or structure of choices, policymakers and organizations can encourage individuals to make decisions that are in their best interests.
Yeah. It is making a design so that you are actually creating an environment around the customers where they are looking at choices which are presented to them in a very structured way. So policymakers, they act, they make certain policies so that individuals can think about the choices which are in their best interest.
Yes.
Okay. For example, do you know that Israel has the lowest organ donation rate?
The Israel has the lowest what?
Organ donation rate?
They have the lowest organ donation rate.
Because I was reading somewhere that it's written in the Bible that your body parts are your private parts, and therefore you know because of the religious beliefs and systems, many people, they are unwilling to donate their organs when they die. All right.
It's a, they have plenty of organs to last
Yeah.
them for all.
Yeah. While it may be beneficial for the entire society, but so the whole idea is we are looking at we are looking at certain frameworks wherein we can encourage customers to think about what is best for them.
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at default choices. Default choices involve setting a particular option as a default choice that individuals receive unless they actively make an alternative selection.
Yeah.
So, for example, in many government offices, when people are given their salary, a portion of their salary is by default automatically saved into provident fund. I'm sure you may have heard the word provident fund, PF. A portion of your salary goes directly into the it. So the many many employers, especially in government, offices, a portion of their salaries by default saved. All right. So the money is given to them by deducting some portion of the salary, which is actually is a kind of a saving for that. Why is it saving? Why is the government doing this? Because maybe at a later age you need money and you must have enough money which is compounded at a decent rate of interest, whatever the country offers, so that whenever you retire, you have enough money to rely on and you're not relying on the government. You understand? Government knows that this person is when he or she becomes old, they'll be dependent on the government. So therefore, the government is making a plan. Government is creating a default choice so that your money is saved now, so that you can actually be benefited in the long run. Is
Yes.
this giving some is this giving you clear idea of what is default choices?
Yes.
Let's look at restricted choices. Restricted choices limit the number of options available in individuals. So if there were many choices, now the customers are presented with only very few choices so that your decision making process becomes fairly simple. Okay?
Yes.
Because if consumers are given too many choices, they are not able to make the best interest for themselves. For example, in cafeterias, offering a limited selection of healthy food options can encourage healthier eating habits. Correct?
Yes.
Rather than customers choosing from the vast menu, because
Yes.
maybe a vast menu may have many unhealthy foods.
I agree. I understand. Also, that makes sense. Instead of
Yeah.
having a vast menu of tons of unhealthy and healthy food, they just have a small section of all healthy food, and that way they have to pick a healthier choice anyways.
Mandated choices. Mandated choices require individuals to make active decisions rather than passively just accepting default options. This ensures that people are engaged with and consciously consider their choices. For
Yes.
example, an example is requiring consumers to actively select their preferred energy plan rather than continuing with their existing plans by default, encouraging them to evaluate and choose the best option. Which means when you're buying power or electricity, which means your by default option plan, sometimes government is giving you a mandate choice that you have to maybe deal with certain number of units. We can't provide you with more electricity units. So you may a family may have to consume the electricity or power in a particular budget only,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I was reading somewhere that one of the states in US, they made a mandate choice that I think it was mandate or by default, I don't remember, that your organs are there is something called opt-in or
Yes.
opt-out. So, by default, customers were enrolled in organ donation plan unless they opt out. You understand?
I understand.
Yeah. Similarly, nudge theory, which is a very, it's a very good way of ensuring that customers, whenever they make decisions, it is in their best interest. Um, this theory was developed by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein. Uh, the whole idea is to actually see how do individuals react and if at all they are presented with choices and if they are presented with the correct information. There's always a way that the behavior of consumers can be changed uh, rather than removing so they must also have freedom of choice.
Yes.
It's rather than a choice architecture where you're mandating something or you're restricting them. Nudge theory says that there is no compulsion, but you present customers with choices so that they are able to make choices without any compulsion out of it.
Yes.
Just a second.
Sir, you're still muted, so
Yeah. So for instance, placing healthy food options, like we say, at an eye level in a cafeteria nudges individual towards healthier food choices. It's not even in the menu. You're placing the food at a eye level. So that the first instance where somebody's ordering food is the the person actually sees that.
yeah,
The
because it's the
first thing.
immediate thing they see, so they're more likely
Yeah,
to pick that as compared to
yeah,
looking at somewhere else.
correct. So you are actually presenting with with choices in a way that you're not removing the freedom of choice, yet you are changing their behavior. Ethical considerations are very important whenever you are allowing customers to make choices, because if at all we force customers to take certain choices, it may not come out as very healthy way, and there might be a lot of criticism. So both choice architecture and nudge theories, they are powerful tools for improving decision making, but it is important that we must keep some ethical considerations, because if at all the choices are very, very manipulative, it might lead to infringing somebody's right or privacy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there is an example which is given here that behavioral economics in action can be observed in various domains such as public policy, healthcare, finance, marketing. Governments, businesses, and organizations use these principles to promote positive behavior and the outcomes. Can you read this loudly for me? Behavioral economics.
Behavioral economics in action through choice architecture and nudge theory offers practical strategies to guide individuals toward making choices that align with their best interests. By understanding the psychology of decision making and implementing these strategies ethically, policymakers and organizations can improve outcomes in areas such as savings, health, and environmental conservation, while respecting individual autonomy.
Yeah. So same thing what I said, right? I can see that I'm sure you will never forget this anymore, right? You will not forget this chapter.
Yes, because mostly it's just about how people react to like marketing and how they make choices in regard to their purchases.
Correct. Now, while customers they are prompted with choices, customers they are prompted to make decisions which are best in their interest. It is important to also understand that on the other hand, businesses, they are also trying to maximize their profit, and they want consumers to buy certain products at a particular price.
Yeah.
So prod you know cus- businesses, they might be advertising about goods which customers may not even want, right? So
Yes.
while one end we are trying to understand, we are trying to say that customers should be rational and they should buy only goods which they need actually rather than want, right? While customers, of course, they behave irrationally despite of, I mean, we've just read that it could be so many bounded rationality or biasness. Uh, on the other hand, we are saying that businesses, they focus on profit maximization, and therefore whatever they are going to offer may not be in the best interest of customers, but it would be in best interest of businesses.
Yes.
I'm sure you know what is profit maximization.
Yes, it's allocating all your resources to get the most amount of profit at least amount of cost.
Yeah. So it's basically the maximum difference between the total revenue and the total cost.
Yes.
That is the profit maximization. The another way of the another approach to profit maximization could be where marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. MC is equal to MR.
Yes.
So it is important that it's not just the profit, but the profit should actually be sustainable in the long run, because this will drive the growth of the business. This will drive the innovation of the business. So therefore, so in order for businesses to remain profitable, they have to control the cost. They always need to revive their pricing strategy so that they can actually allocate their resources efficiently, right?
Yes.
So when I say pricing decisions are very important, because based on the cost, your pricing decisions will change. Based on the market scenario, the pricing decisions will change, and so do the profitability. Therefore, in order to be having maximum profit maximization, uh, understanding the cost, controlling the cost, uh, then coming out with best pricing strategy is very important, because only then one will be able to allocate the resources efficiently. Uh, there are factors which are given over here about the profit maximization, uh, and also the criticism of profit maximization. Can you just quickly have a glimpse on this?
A glimpse of both or just the criticisms?
Both.
Okay. Factors affecting profit maximization. Competition. Intense competition can factors. Pricing strategies. Technological advancements will disrupt industries, growing businesses to adapt and invest in order to sustain profit levels. Government regulations. Stringent government regulations can impose additional costs and profit maximization for businesses. The criticisms of profit maximization. Single focus. Okay. Additional costs and profit. All right, I read through it.
Yeah, it's very easy. If you want, I'll give you access to this course, and maybe I think the entire chapter is over now. Maybe you can have a look at.
Have you sent me the guide for economics?
You did. You don't have it?
I don't know where you were going to send it. Did you send it through email or did you send it through?
You send me your email. I'll send you the guide. I'll send you 2 past papers.
I have already sent you on WhatsApp my email. So
Okay. Okay. So I'll have it sent today.
yes.
Okay. All right, buddy. Let's meet tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.